Good morning, good day, or good evening, wherever you are watching. I am your host, Alex, and I'm here to welcome you all to Battle City Broadcasting. We are new here on YouTube, but I hope we're informative and interesting enough for you all to stick around. For now, I just wanted to introduce to you guys a deck profile on one of my personal favorite decks, Galaxy Photon. I've had quite a history with this deck. This is since I've gotten to the game like 6 years ago. This is the deck I've pretty much only played. I've taken this deck to regionals with more than satisfactory results. This is the one deck that I've always played, labbed, tested, innovated wherever I went. So I'd say I'm pretty versed in all the cards in this deck, good or bad. So without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so 40 cards. We'll go and get started with the monster lineup. First up, we've got 3 Galaxy Eyes, Photon Dragon. You have to, alright? You must run 3 copies. This is a requirement. This is pretty much the equivalent of your Blue Eyes in your Blue Eyes deck or your Albaz in your branded decks, alright? Galaxy Eyes has an effect to target a monster. It battles to banish itself and then target until the end of battle phase, but this effect rarely sees use. The main importance of this card is its name. And there's so many cards in this deck that require its name to operate. And if you run less than 3, you're foolish. Alright? 3 is a requirement. If you see any video out there that runs less than 3, click away from it because they don't know what they're talking about. Next, we've got 2 copies of your Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. This card is one of your several million bajillion extenders in this deck, and it's also your main OTK enabler. Alright? What Afterglow does is it can special summon itself from the hand if you control a Galaxy Eyes monster. And its second effect happens when it's detached as material for the effect of an Xyz monster, letting you either special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon or attach it to an Xyz monster from your hand or deck. Then, if this all happened during the battle phase, all your number monsters' attacks are doubled. So this, paired with your number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, will absolutely nuke your opponent into next month. Alright, I've hit as high as like 23,000 attack with this. It's very easy to do. 2 copies, Photon Emperor. Part of the support we got from Photon Hypernova. This card is definitely one of the best cards in the deck now. It's yet another extender that also grants us an additional normal summon. Basically, if he is sent to grave and there's a Galaxy or Photon monster on your field or in your grave, he special summons himself. The moment Emperor hits field, you pretty much get an extra normal summon, and this normal summon is what breaks the deck into so many new combo routes that help increase the consistency and ceiling of this deck. One copy, Galaxy Brave. You can run him at 0 or 1, but you don't really need any more than that. Its effect pretty much lets you reveal a Photon monster from your hand to special summon itself, and its level will become that of the Photon monster you revealed. So if you revealed like a Photon Dragon to special him, he stays level 8. If you revealed like a Photon Vanisher, which is level 4, he becomes level 4. Alright? So with a higher number of like Photon monsters in this deck, I think there's around 13, 14 or so. He's been now less of a brick than what he was before when you see it in hand, and is now just a great extender and extra body on board that you can use to make rank 4s or rank 8s or just to link someone with. Next, 3 Galaxy Soldier. I need you to get out of your mind that Soldier is a Cyber Dragon card. Alright? It is not. Soldier does not only search another soldier, okay? I know, it's crazy. It searches any Galaxy monster in the deck when it's special summoned. And better yet, his other effect lets it special itself from the hand by sending a light monster from the hand as cost. Literally the greatest card in the deck, and is a premium Ash target. That you can use this to bait Ash so easy, and it's so free. Alright? 3 copies is required here. He's one of the main ways to get your combos going. He's a huge consistency booster. This guy does everything for the deck. You have to play 3. We got 3 Photon Thrasher. Currently, this is the only starter card in the archetype, and all he does is special summon himself from the hand if you control no monsters. Alright, this card is definitely outdated, but right now Thrasher is the only thing we've got when virtually every other card in this deck requires us to control another Galaxy or Photon monster. He's the only one that really doesn't. Alright, I've seen others play one or two, and that's fine depending on your build, but I opt to play three because I want to maximize the chances of seeing it in my opening hand along with the next card. Three Photon Vanisher. Thrasher and Vanisher here is pretty much your 1-2 combo of the deck, right? So what Vanisher is if you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, you can special him from the hand. And when you special summon, he'll let you search a Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon. He's just another extender when paired with Thrasher as your opening play, and that's just an easy rank 4 that'll help you extend further into your combos. Again, same reason as Thrasher, 3 copies to see it as often as possible with Thrasher itself. Two Galaxy Summoner. This is another new card that we got from the Photon Hypernova set, and it's also a great extender. When summoned, normal or special, you can special summon any Galaxy or Photon monster from your grave without negating its effects. So most of the time, this will be the card to use your second normal summon on that'll get you back a wizard from the grave, Galaxy Wizard. Summoner's second effect also lets you change the level of one of your light monsters to level 4, which helps with consistency and can be used to create different plays, although it mainly is one of the new ways to fix the problem of Soldier being that awkward level 5 that it used to be. Three Photon Orbital. Alright, this is the best consistency booster, consistency card we got way back in Legendary Duels 3, and there's no reason to run him in less than 3 copies. Alright, Orbital is just a free search for any Galaxy or Photon monster. You literally just equip it to one of your monsters and immediately de-equip it to get that search. The effect is not a hard, the equip effect specifically to equip to your monster is not a hard once per turn. So if you did have another copy to use, you could actually just go ahead and equip the second copy, and it gives the equipped monster 500 attack and protection from battle destruction. Three Galaxy Wizard. Now listen, alright, I do not care what other people say here, alright? Before the Hypernova set, if you thought Wizard was good, you were absolutely foolish. You didn't know what you were talking about, alright? Solely because the only good way to use this card was normal summon. Wizard was irrelevant, while Galaxy Knight, the level 8 guy, when normal summoned to special a dragon, was the best normal summon of the deck. But now? Nah, it's the reverse, alright? With Emperor and Summoner now existing in this deck, this card has pretty much sent Knight into irrelevancy. Alright, first thing to note, Galaxy Wizard, both of its effects are not a hard once per turn. Alright, if you can recur him, which you do, you can keep using his effect over and over again. Alright, his first effect makes him turn level 8, which helps with like making rank 8 plays or anything else, or even meeting the requirement for Galaxy Expedition. But more importantly, it contributes itself as cost to search any Galaxy card, not just a monster, but it can also search your spells and traps. Alright, the fact that Emperor gave this deck 2 normal summons has pretty much allowed us to recur Wizard, letting it search twice a turn at the very least. Rounding off the monsters here, I'm playing 1 Galactic Karibo. This can also be swapped out for an Astral Karibo if you wanted. Both pretty much here have their uses and are phenomenal small world targets in the deck. I just opted for the Galactic Karibo mainly because it has the Galaxy name, so it's not locked out by Galaxy Trance. Right? So pretty much what Galactic Karibo does is when your opponent declares an attack, you can discard this card from your hand, special summon a Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon from hand or deck, and retarget the attack to Galaxy-Eyes instead, and attach this card from the grave to an Xyz monster on the field. Right. You can also banish this card from your grave to protect your Galaxy and Photon monsters. although these effects might come up. This is mainly just used for your small world targets. So small world reveal from hand, and you reveal this from deck. And this makes a great bridge into anything else in the deck that you need to get. Moving on to spells, we run 2 Galaxy 100. This is a new continuous spell we got from Photon Hypernova. Keep in mind that Foolish Burial is at 1 in this game, alright? This card acts as a Foolish Burial or a Foolish Burial goods for any Photon or Galaxy card, not just monster. So if you wanted, you could technically play up to like 4 Foolish Burials in this deck. And on top of that, alright, there's still more. Whenever you special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, which will always happen in this deck, it's super easy. This card will let you look at your opponent's extra deck. Alright, you get to look at your opponent's extra deck and either banish a card from it or special a number monster from it. Okay? Not only do you get the knowledge of your opponent's deck, you also get to rip out any problem cards or even potentially take it for yourself. Alright? There's also a fairly consistent way to actually pull this effect off twice, once on your turn and once on your opponent's turn, before they even get to go into their own extra deck themselves. Alright? So all those players, all you guys, playing 2 copies of important cards because you're afraid of Kashtira, now you got to play 3 now, alright? Otherwise you're losing. There are also instances where I would like take my opponent's Hope Harbinger, I think Titanic Galaxy, number 38, which is pretty much an extra free spell negate that I just stole off of them, or even a Baguska, since that's also a number monster. And now I've pretty much established a whole board state, and they have to try and play through Baguska, which is almost impossible. It's unfair. Next up, 2 Galaxy Expedition. Alright. This is probably one of the better extenders of the deck. If you control a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster, you can summon any level 5 or higher Photon Galaxy monster from your deck. Nothing else to it. It's just another body that can be used for extra deck plays. It's a plain and simple card, yet it's really good. I used to run 3. I can cut it down to 2. Sometimes I could even cut it down to 1 if I really wanted, solely because this deck has gained so many more searches. This deck searches, I think, like 7 times a turn. Like, to the point where I don't care if I don't see it on my hand, because I'm going to search out every card in my deck anyways. Two Galaxy Trance, Soul Charge. This card is Soul Charge, alright? That's what this is, and it's searchable. It's a searchable Soul Charge for the deck, and Soul Charge is banned, alright? This card does lock you into only summoning Photon and Galaxy monsters for the turn, but that doesn't matter at all. That's not a restriction. That's all you're doing anyways. You're not really summoning anything else, alright? 2, you could play 1 and then try and recur it, but I just say like 2, mainly for like going first or even like as a follow-up play. This helps a lot. 1 Galaxy 0. It's pretty much searchable monster reborn for archetype. That's all it is. And again, I only run at 1, not 2 or anything. Most of these Galaxy spells you could really cut down to like 1 copy or so, although I wouldn't recommend it, solely because this deck searches so much. You could search out all of them anyways. They're all searchable. Next we got 3 Small World. This card pretty much says search any monster in your deck. Okay. This card has revolutionized the consistency of this Galaxy deck. Pretty much any extra copies of monsters in your hand is now a combo piece because of Small World, alright? So even if I ran 3 like Thrasher, right, and I open up 2 in my hand, so one of them's technically dead, it's not dead anymore because I could just Small World it away for an actual combo piece, right? So from the deck, you'll mainly reveal the Galactic Karibo from the deck, as it's pretty much a perfect bridge to any monster you're trying to search for. So, like, why would you not play a card that searches you anything at 3 copies, alright? Keep in mind that this card does not have a cost. So you can activate it and just wait for a response, and if your opponent doesn't do anything, there you go. Plus, like, free pieces, free search. It's actually kind of broken, if you ask me. Last thing of the spells is 1 Rhoda. Pretty much just another consistency card. Helps you either search the Thrasher or Vanisher that's missing your hand. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just more consistency. And then rounding off the 40 card main deck, 3 Imperm. I know I have the golds. I know I'm a little foolish for this. I'm working on getting my better copies. Don't worry. But pretty much all around great card. Free hand trap going second. You can set it for a free negate going first. Can't be called by. There's not really a downside to running this card at all. It's just really versatile. So talking about this deck, right? So a few extra options here. Because this deck has become so consistent, you could actually make this a 43 card deck instead of 40, which lets you open up 3 more slots for any hand traps that you want. I usually just end up playing like Ash Blossom since it's the most generic and useful. But things like Effect Veiler for its light attribute or Ghost Bell for Grave Disruption also work. I know Nibiru this format is also a popular option, as well as Book of Eclipse for Kashtira or Contact C for Branded if you're really afraid of those decks. Although in my experience, Kashtira itself shouldn't be a problem. You can also run Pot of Prosperity, although I personally prefer not to. But Prosperity will definitely further increase the consistency of the deck. But the extra deck for this is already so tight that it would be sacrificing almost every chance I have at a follow-up play, right? Because I want to use this extra deck a lot, and because I'm getting rid of like key pieces, because a lot of the you really only run 1 or 2 copies of each piece in the extra deck. So if I'm nuking my extra deck to increase consistency, this deck becomes an all or nothing. I have no backup plan, which I'd prefer to have. So moving on to the extra deck here. We've got 15 cards, starting with 2 Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon. This is your Link. Deck's a Link support. It got back into Soul Fusion, actually, around when Thunder Dragon Colossus came out. I remember those times. And this card actually performs its job super well. It requires 2 light monsters with at least one of them having 2,000 or more attack. It's super easy to make in this deck. And when it's Link summoned, you can add back a Photon or Galaxy monster from your graveyard to your hand. Right? It also has a disruption effect, letting you discard a Photon and a Galaxy card, 2 cards total, or just 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, to pop a special summon monster your opponent controls. This card is really great for recurring your resources back from the grave. It can also help unbreak your combo. I run 2 since it's effective in the grind game to keep going as well. Super useful. Next up here, I run the whole Galaxy package. Pretty much 1 Cypher X, 1 Cypher Blade, 1 Full Armor, and 1 Cypher. Cypher here. Cypher is your base generic rank 8 for this package. Most people don't really use its effect because they immediately go into overlaying on top of it. But if you wanted to, you could detach 1 to take control of an opponent's monster. But usually going first, you'll just make the Cypher and then immediately overlay into Cypher X, right? Cypher X will let you detach 2 materials and give all your light monsters target immunity until the end of the opponent's turn. So a lot of removal effects need to target in this game, and now that's one more thing your opponent has to play around. So giant monsters that can't be targeted, it's pretty hard sometimes, you know? Cypher X will also be your primary way of detaching the Afterglow Dragon to extend further, right? Additionally, during the standby phase, you can actually return a rank 9 or lower Dragon Xyz monster from your grave to the extra deck and immediately Xyz summon it over Cypher X. So using Cypher X's effect, you normally detach the Afterglow and the Cypher. Use its effect, and then on your following standby phase, Cypher X effect would proc, getting back the Cypher Dragon and overlaying right on top. And from here, you can proceed to go straight into your Cypher package, getting 2 pops, right? Full Armor, pretty much detach 1, pop, go straight into Cypher Blade, detach 1, pop. We have 2, number 62, Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. This is pretty much your main way of closing out games. It's a generic rank 8 that you normally want to Xyz summon this card using the Afterglow Dragon. Alright. What he does is during damage calculation, quick effect, you can detach a card, which is usually Afterglow, to gain attack equal to the total ranks of all the monsters on the entire field, not just yours, times 200. So this means at the minimum, he will be at 5,600 attack, right? Because if he's on the field by himself, 8 ranks times 200, that's 1,600 plus 4k base, so 5,600 attack. Doubled by Afterglow if you detach Afterglow. So now that's 11,200. That's usually enough by itself to just kill your opponent out of the game. We also run the one new boss monster from Photon Hypernova, number C62. This guy's evolution right here. Requires 3 level 8 light monsters, which you will never do because you will actually overlay directly on top of Prime that way. Galaxy-sized Photon Dragon, again, calling for the name, is a material. This card is now unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Unaffected by your opponent's card effects, and has 6,400 attack, right, before detaching material. At the beginning of the battle phase, you can detach one to have this perform up to 3 attacks on monsters. Alright, so now after the detach, he's at 5,600 attack, doubled by Afterglow, so 11,200, making 3 attacks. Alright, if your opponent did not put all their monsters in defense, they are guaranteed to lose. Alright, there have been a justifiable number of times where I even knew my opponent was waiting to negate my number 62 because they were afraid they would get OTK'd. So I would just go straight into C62, which is now immune to their monster effects, and now that my opponent can't do anything, they just lose the game that way. Alrighty. One copy of number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. Hands down, this is definitely your best rank 8 play, right? He can't be destroyed by card effects if it has a photon material. He's a monster negate, and he can search for any card in the deck, alright? You will always make this go in first, and you'll sometimes make him go in second, right? There's a reason this card is $40+, alright? I've seen a lot of people play 2, which is totally fine. I just opted for the 1 since I've never really needed to play the second anyways. And this deck already has a lot of recursion, so it just saves me a slot in the extra deck. One, number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon, Titanic Galaxy. Alright. This is a Galaxy card. Alright, it's got Galaxy in the name that people actually usually don't pay attention to. But it is a Galaxy card, so it's not locked out by Galaxy Trance. So he's super easy to make through the several lines of combo plays this deck has. And it also gives the deck a powerful spell negate. Alright. There's also its less known effect to be able to detach one and redirect oncoming attacks to itself and immediately perform damage calculation. So there have been several times where my opponents would forget about this effect and attempt to attack over, say, problem cards like Photon Lord, only for the attack to get redirected here, protecting my board state. Next up, run 2 copies of Galaxy Photon Dragon. This is the new generic rank 4 we get out of Photon Hypernova, and is one of the biggest consistency boosters this deck has gotten. Pretty much gives all your light monsters a continuous 500 attack, but more importantly, you can detach one to either search or foolish any archetypal card in the deck. Alright. Also, if a light monster is special summoned to the field, you can change its level to 4 or 8, depending on what you need. So this card can search or foolish, fixes levels for you to keep playing, and the level modulation effect can actually also be used to chain block more important effects like Galaxy Soldier and Photon Emperor, right? So you can go, pull out these cards, Emperor, Soldier. So from hand, you can technically go Soldier effect, sending the Photon Emperor to Grave's cost, the special Soldier. Now you can go Emperor, Chainlink 1 since it hits Grave and you control the Galaxy. Soldier, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3, Photon to change Soldier level 8. So now you get your search and your special for free, uninterrupted. One copy, Starliege Photon Blast Dragon. This is the old rank 4 that we had. It's definitely not as good as it used to be, but it's still good enough to warrant use, right? Pretty much any two level 4 monsters, and it gives your whole board protection from targeting and destruction, right? If it's XC summoned, you can special summon a Photon monster from your hand. It's a decent effect for extending plays and sometimes getting you out of a tight corner. And it also has a third quick effect to detach one to special a galaxy-sized Photon Dragon from your banished grave. But that third effect is one that usually comes up the least. Lastly, I play one Zeus. This is an Xyz deck, so you play Zeus. Alright, going second, if you choose not to use Galaxy Trance, you can sit on this card and threaten your opponent while having peace of mind that you're most likely going to win. This deck has a tendency to overlay a lot over each other, almost like Zodiacs, so it's actually possible to get a 4 material Zeus to use its effect twice. As far as extra deck is concerned, there's not much to change in the extra deck, mainly because it is so tight. Every card already in here has a purpose and function that the deck wants to utilize, and it's hard to justify cutting or adding cards as there aren't actually that many good rank 4s or 8s that do what this deck wants to do and be good at it, you know? So, extra deck, I think this is probably one of the best versions out there. Maybe if you wanted to run something else, I'd maybe cut full armor. So your package now just has 1 pop. But that's really it, right? Especially this format, you can't really cut Photon either, because Kashtira can banish 1, so you need the second one to OTK if you were going second. Things like that. So, no real changes to the extra deck here that I would recommend. So, weaknesses this deck usually has. Like, every deck has a weakness, so let's talk about them. So, even with all this consistency and increased deck ceiling, this is definitely not a perfect deck, right? It's nearly there, but it's not quite there yet. Right? The first major weakness this deck has is with floodgates, right? This deck has a hard time going against trap decks since there's no way to actually deal with back row. Yeah, there's the side deck, of course, that may have cards that help vastly improve the odds, like Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, Cosmic Cyclone, right? But siding those in will also sacrifice some consistency depending on how many you end up siding into if you really wanted to see those cards. Right. Next up is like graveyard disruptions, mainly bestials or other ways to remove cards from the graveyard, either by banish, summon, sending to deck, or etc. You know, like yeah, a ghost spell may sting just a little bit, but this deck has several ways to reach back into the graveyard anyways, so ghost spell doesn't actually hurt that much. But because it's a light attribute deck, this definitely falls prey to like bestials, so where they can just banish it out of the grave, so now you actually don't have access to the cards in your grave, right? So bestials and similar DD Crow effects is another bane to this deck. And lastly, the third weakness of this deck, I'd say, is that at some point in any of the combos that this deck can do, it can be hit by almost any of the major hand traps in the game, right? The biggest ones being like Nibiru or Dimension Shifter. In case of Nibiru, because you're summoning a lot, you don't really get a monster negate until later as part of your end board. But this deck has enough gas to attempt a recovery play even after getting Nibiru'd. But in the case of Dimension Shifter, you might as well go to game 2, scoop your cards up, go to game 2, pray they don't have another Dimension Shifter, because this deck needs its graveyard. It cannot play through those macro effects at all. You absolutely mandatory need to have your graveyard. So if you're one of those people watching that made it all the way here to the end, thank you. You're a real one. Alright, we really appreciate it. In the comments down below, just let us know your thoughts, ideas, what else you want to see, your thoughts on this deck in general, any questions you may have, or even not even just about the deck profile. More, how can we improve our videos? What can we do to help garner more of your attention and make our videos more interesting? So until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks.